Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Degrassiism. I know I've done plenty of Degrassi episodes on the Rick Murray situation. This will be number 99. Red balloons go floating by in the whole Rick Murray storyline thing, specifically about the Rick Murray storyline, because I had 97, number 98, of course, the 5 things certain characters should or should not have done in the whole Rick Murray situation, and practically just all that. So logically put, this is huge. So today I'm doing the top 10 Degrassi villains, but I'm not having Degrassi Reddit rank them. I'm ranking them myself. As the creator of Rick Murray videos for 4 years, I feel like I should be giving you the top 10 Degrassi villains in my opinion and all that. So here we go. Now remember, this is my ranking and everything is subjective. That's fine. I get subjective with Degrassi Reddit sometimes too. All right. So here are the top 10. Now, there are some people who probably think that Sean or even Snake would make the list, but no, they didn't make the list. Sean was not a villain. Yes, Sean told Jay that you shouldn't go to Raj because Raj is going to know about why Rick wants to know why Rick would spray paint on your vehicles, and then Jay would have to incriminate himself in a sense. But Jay could have come up with some bullshit excuse. But the fact of the matter is that, Sean didn't know that Jay was going to use this as a way to get rid of Rick and all that. He can't be villainous. And if he was villainous, he would have left it. He would have left for Wasaga to escape the cops. But the cops would have gotten Sean on the weekend as is and forced him to stay in Toronto. And Snake, for his hypocritical actions and not pressing Radish enough. Well, Snake technically did do some wrong, but Snake did own up to it, unlike some other people. So, yeah, Snake has been jumbled in with some other group. All right. So here we go. And as usual, I got to do the fingers. So number 10 on the list is Jimmy. Thinking, Jimmy's in a wheelchair. Why is he a villain? Let's not forget that Jimmy did put Rick into the dumpster alongside Spinner. Jimmy did do that. I mean, Jimmy was just as angry trying to get rid of Rick as anyone else. But Jimmy had a reason to. I mean, after all, he was on that road trip when Terry got put in the coma by Rick. He was with Hazel. And, he had a reason to. He was not happy. He tortures Rick in a sense. And of course, Jimmy's put on the Wacky Rain team because of Heather's mono. And the fact of the matter is that, Jimmy said himself that he feels that God's punishing him for hurting Rick. And that's why he's in a wheelchair. No, he would have put more people in a wheelchair. He would have punished Paige in such a way that Paige would have had suffering and all that. But no, Jimmy didn't hurt things. And it wasn't Jimmy's fault he was in a wheelchair. It was basically two people who are on this list and their faults in it. Okay, number 9 on the list is the staff. Practically, the staff should have pushed the issue and protected Rick more and basically got under Radish's skin. Now, the only time we see a staff member get pissed off about Rick, well, except for Radish in Mercy Street, is Kwan after Spinner throws something at Rick when Rick's trying to recite a poem about Gandhi. And she sends Spinner to the principal's office. What other staff members does that? There's even a few staff members that stand idly by while Rick gets pushed in that episode and don't do a damn thing about it. They don't blink an eye. It's like the staff members know about this. Why aren't they telling Raj everything? Why are they not stepping in? Are they kind of hating on Rick because of what he did to Terry? Supposedly. That's the problem. That's the thing. But the simple fact is that, Rick doesn't deserve this. And, the staff should have pushed they issue more. Snake is put in the staff. Remember what I said? I put Snake in this area? Snake should have been more pushing on Radish and all that. He kind of was. Radish didn't respond in kind. But I mean, Snake took accountability. That's why I can't really hate on Snake as much as the others. That's why. Number 8 is Emma. I actually had Emma 6 and 7 in some iterations, but I've decided to drop her to number 8 because of the way that other people have been. So yeah, it was debatable where Emma was on the bottom 5 of the list. I couldn't put her in the top 5. No way. No fucking way. So what I did was I put Emma at number 8. Like, Emma had no inkling that the students were going to take her Orange Ribbon campaign the wrong way and use it as a way to beat up on Rick. She had no inkling that Rick was going to almost be pummeled to death by the bullies before she stepped in and got Paige's friend group to hate on her. She had no reasoning. And how she was going to know that Rick was going to actually bring a gun to the school at all? Like, remember, Rick didn't go after Emma at first because if he did, then he would have gotten her at the picnic table at the start of Time Stand Still Part 2 on October the 12th. Well, of course, I have to step in and say that Americans are going to say, that didn't happen October 12th, 2004. Unfortunately, though, Canada has the episodes first, and that's what happened in Canada. I know there's a lot of American Redditors who watch this stuff and all that. And of course, I'm doing it based on Canadian stuff because, I'm Canadian. So I got to go with what I go with. The fact of the matter, guys, is that, it was huge. Very huge. And of course, he went after Paige with the gun and all that. Now you'd be thinking, is Paige a top 10? No. Because Paige, although she did push Rick and didn't want Rick back at the school, she did it in a offsetting way. And let's not forget that Paige kind of pulled back and all that. So Paige didn't do anything bad. I mean, yeah, she stopped the bullying soon enough that I can't really hate on her, no matter what. So, yeah. But, anyway, Emma. Now, of course, Emma should be blamed for the Orange Ribbon campaign in a way. But as I said, she didn't know that. She wanted to create awareness about domestic violence, and that's fine. But, they took it the wrong way. The student body botched it. And, Emma was using the Orange Ribbon campaign to get a friend group because Manny and Liberty left her high and dry after she wanted to take Chris back just to spurn a Chris and Liberty relationship, saying, what does that make me if Chris and Liberty go out together? Who cares? Since when do you care about what people think of you? You've done causes for 3 years that pissed people off. So Emma's glow up must have happened prior to the Rick Murray situation. And practically Emma was just being ditzy and stupid. I think she was just of how Manny got guys and all that. But I mean, Emma had a gun pointed at her. Sure, it took the fact that Rick put the gun in his locker and then took it out to shoot Jimmy. And then he conveniently found Emma with Toby and Sean. The fact of the matter is that, Emma didn't deserve to have the gun in her face. Fortunately, though, Sean saves her life. And, Emma goes through the zombie Emma phase. And she probably figures the gonorrhea she got was a punishment for what she did to Rick. Kind of awkward, don't you think? All right, so number 7 is Rick's parents. Rick's parents should be blamed for a lot of things because they didn't. Yes, Rick did not tell the parents, but the parents should have pressed for things. I mean, the mother was blissfully ignorant, if you say so myself. I think that her blissful ignorance ruined it. She was there. I mean, the dad was a traveling salesman. She was there and probably coddling Rick. And Rick was probably crying crocodile tears. So, fact of the matter for Rick is that, his mom cared about him. His mom even said in Time Stand Still Part 1, which was on October the 5th in Canada, said that, I wanted you to go to another school. And Rick says, you worry too much, mother, and all that. She wanted to go to another school. And, it's Rick's decision. I mean, I understand. But I mean, Rick's parents should have had an inkling about Rick being bullied and done something themselves. Rick obviously didn't want his parents to know because he was afraid that it's going to be the snitches get stitches philosophy and he was going to get targeted even more so than he is now. So what you got is a failure to communicate. And Rick couldn't communicate well. But Rick's parents probably had something there. I mean, Rick's parents, I think, wanted Radich to give them answers about why their boy did what they did. But in the end, Rick's parents would not have gotten any clear-cut answers, or one, because their son's a school shooter, and by association, they would be in trouble. And especially with Rick's dad having the gun. I know that he put it away where he thought he was safe, but it wasn't safe, and Rick got the gun out of the cabinet. So, yeah, Rick's parents basically caused the trouble, and I bet you they got in trouble with the law and had to leave Toronto because of the shame. Maybe they did have an impact on getting rid of Radich, but they would not have gotten any settlement because their son's a school shooter. Remember, we're looking at this in a 2023 light, and this timeline happened 19 years ago. So, yeah, that's it. Okay, so number 6, and just missing the top 5, is the student body. Now, there are certain students that will be named, but other than the named students, the student body should be blamed because of them taking Emma's Orange River campaign as a deterrent and to get rid of Rick. Now, there is a good reason why the students possibly did what they did. And that's because Radich had ignored them and all that. That's pure stupidity on his part. But, logic dictates that, yeah, you hate on Rick. You bully Rick, and, you know that Rick isn't going anywhere, so you have to give up. Like, there were justice for Terry, that. Now, of course, Degrassi botched everything because why didn't they give us any scene that Terry either came to Degrassi or just basically off screen told Paige about these stuff? Terry had to have known what was happening to Rick. Someone would have told Terry, we're going to hurt Rick. Don't worry, we're doing this for you. End of story. And then Terry might have done something about it. But the fact of the matter is that it just plays to bad taste. You have a sour taste in your mouth. Now, the student body was buoyed by the fact that Radich had ignored their pleas and all that. I understand that, and I get it with them. But they basically would not let it die off, and they basically pushed Rick too far. Now, of course, Degrassi purposely set this up as a black and white area for should we sympathize on Rick. I say no for good reason. But the students, should we sympathize with their cause? Yes, because the adults failed them and failed Rick in that situation. All right, so number 5, and a surprise compared to some of my videos from 2-3 years ago, is Alex. You're thinking, Alex is lower than top 3? Well, top 3 is top 3. I actually had to go back and forth and thinking, who was number 4, who's number 5? And based on Degrassi posts the past few years, Alex being number 4 could not happen, and I dropped her out of the top 4. Yes, Alex was one of the last 3 bullies to hurt on Rick. And of course, the other 2 are part of the top 4. But the fact of the matter is that Alex did have a reason to get involved. I mean, it's understandable. She was mad because her mom was victimized by domestic violence herself. Alex has to be living in women's shelters, cry her mother to sleep, protect her. That I understand. That I get. But the fact is that Alex embodied Rick as the epitome of every guy who wronged her mom. Fair enough. I get it. And I agree with Alex's thinking. But the fact of the matter is that, Alex went a little too far. And she accused Rick of everything with the spray paint. Now it's easy. Maybe, yeah, Alex is there. But Alex did it without proof. If she had proof, fine, I get it. But she didn't. She just basically named Rick because they want to get rid of Rick in the worst way possible. And she knew that would be the key to get rid of Rick. But of course, she and the other two have to know that they couldn't go to Radich because they probably would have incriminated themselves. Alex, I think, took a hit. I think Alex kind of blamed herself for a few things, which was quite honestly, yeah. I just wish that Alex, after she got gonorrhea, I wish that she came after Jay and basically outed Jay for his role in the Painted Feathers. Yes, Alex probably would have had to out herself, but it would have been good, and we may have had some sympathy for Alex instead of people saying, "Oh, Alex just got away with it and she had it easy." She didn't have an easy road, not at all. Number 4 is Radich. Plain and simple. Radich was number 5 in my book, behind the 3 bullies and Rick himself. But the fact of the matter is, I could not overlook Radich's role and how him as the adult wrecked it for the students. He completely whiffed. As the adult of the situation, he should have done a whole lot better. It's plain and simple. Poof. Coming from the guy who 4 years ago, and I must confess, wanted to beat the tar out of him. Radich, not the actor, but the actual character Radich. I must clarify that. But, that's the way it goes. But, now I'm less hating on Radich. I do hate on Radich for a lot of things, but the simple fact is that, he failed the students. Plain and simple. He failed everybody. I mean, Radich did tell Marco and Alex that he had no choice because there was no criminal charges on Rick. And if a student doesn't have a criminal record, he or she will stay in my school. Simple as that. Like it or not. Like, he's been there. But what we get as the audience is maybe he's ducking it. And it was in a stupid deleted scene. If it was in the main product, what impact would have been made for the audience? 2004 wise or 2023 wise? It would have been a whole lot different. You got to recognize these things. So the simple thing is that Rick went to Radich and Radich shooed him off. Now, it wasn't all Radich's fault. Rick was not straightforward in telling Radich about Jimmy and all that. I mean, yeah, Rick could have done all that, but Radich also botched it. All he could have done at worst was just say, I don't have enough evidence. Come back to me when there's more evidence. I mean, that's simple. If Rick had the evidence, then Radich would have had to take him at face value and all that. But no, Rick completely botched it. Radich really botched it, especially in Mercy Street. He allows Rick back at the school. That's bad enough. But he tells Emma, stay out of this. It's not one of your stupid crusades. Now, I know that's what the audience thought of Rick, of Emma, in a sense. But the fact is, Emma completely needed to do this. This was not a stupid crusade. This was real about domestic violence. And also, Radich forgets that he should not be triggering Emma in the first place. It goes back to season 2's Fight for Your Right with the whole GMO foods problem. Yes, Emma did some wrong in it. And yes, Radich did some wrong about it. Nobody won in the end. Those two, it was a tie. Radich was hated because he was in an adult situation and didn't act right, and Emma for pushing the envelope a little too much. But the fact is, Radich had gotten under Emma's skin, and Emma probably used the Orange Ribbon campaign as a sign to get back at Radich for his stupid comment. And it triggers Emma. And Emma was completely triggered. One of the most triggered characters in Jurassic history was Emma. Fight me on that. But let's not forget that Emma aside, Radich completely failed it. All he could have done was maybe say something on the video system at the very least, or have an assembly about Rick's situation. Explain to the students why Rick's back at the school. Because at least Radich makes himself look good. And the fact is, if they take things wrong, then it's on the students' heads. And Radich did what he could to quell the situation. But Radich, as the adult, failed the students, bar none. He failed a lot of people. And the fact is that, Radich was not himself, especially in the aftermath. I understand about the aftermath. He had to do what he had to do. I get it with Radich. I really do. I do. But the simple fact is that Radich completely dropped the ball. And that's what it's all about, the aftermath. Okay, Dracula is not the best play out there, but you could have just said, we have to postpone it till further notice. We have to keep postponing until it's the right time. Okay, Radich didn't like the play, but that would have been maybe a good thing for Radich because at least he's thinking about the students. But in everyone's mind, the audience, he was thinking about the school. He's on the 6 o'clock news for all the wrong reasons. I get it. I understand. And you have to do good PR sometimes. But the fact is, Radich completely goofed everything up. And, the whole overreactionary thing to the Radich song and to Snake's constructive criticism lost him a lot of friends and led to his dismissal. I think the school board had enough. And basically, the whole Dracula thing was the last straw, and he was done for. Okay, so that was number 4. Number 3 is Spinner. You'd be thinking, hang on, Spinner didn't do that much. Oh, yes, he did. He was a giant bully. Although Spinner did take accountability and confess to everything, it was 3 months too late. Know why I said 3 months? Because of the episode Eye of the Tiger. I'll get to that later. But the fact of the matter is, Spinner did have a reason to get complacent about Rick coming back to Degrassi. He and Paige saw Terry knocked out and Rick with blood on his hands. And instead of going after Rick, they had to take Terry to the hospital because if they let Terry die, they would never have let themselves live and all that shit. But let's not forget that Spinner was out for blood. He wanted to hurt Rick because Rick was back at the school getting his stuff because in our minds, maybe he got expelled. Maybe Radich did do something about it, but we find out that no, it wasn't. It was Rick's parents pulling him out because Rick must have cried crocodile tears and all that. And Spinner wanted to tear Rick a new one, and he had every right to. But of course, Spinner was there to the end, bullying on Rick and all that. He put Rick in the dumpster alongside Jimmy. Spinner was just was just angry. And Spinner did the worst thing possible by bragging about this whole situation to Jimmy. He bragged about it. We forgot in Time Stand Still Part 2, he brags to Jimmy on the basketball court about doing the prank. And guess what? He gets bit. Rightfully so. They have a fight. Coach Armstrong, instead of sending Spinner and Jimmy to the principal's office, lets them walk off together. And then, of course, the deleted scene shows Spinner and Jimmy and Craig walking together and Spinner clucking at Rick when he comes back to the school with the painted feathers. And basically, Raj snaps on Spinner saying, come for me or 3:30 talk. And Raj is doing the right thing. And then Spinner says, Radich knows. Because if you don't look at that deleted scene, how you look at it when Spinner says Radich knows is that he thinks that Jimmy's going to narc on him. And Spinner finally realizes he should never have bragged. But if you look at the deleted scene, Spinner's going to be nervous because now Radich wants to talk to him. And Jay decides to calm him down and all that. And Spinner, after learning Jimmy was targeted with the gun and put 2 and 2 together, wanted to go to the cops, but Jay convinced him not to. Spinner held the guilt for 3 months, as Eye of the Tiger says, when Jimmy said he spent 3 months rehabbing and trying to get back home and all that. That's how it is. Spinner did the right thing by confessing to Jimmy. No matter what you say, at least he cleared out his guilt. It got him ostracized from the school, rightfully so. And then after a few bad things, he decides to tell on himself to Hatzalakos. But it was too little too late. He was allowed to come back to the school the next season, and he made it a mission to get his friends back and to be a better person. And it works. Spinner bides its time, and it works for him. But the fact that Spinner actually had empathy and wanted to fix the problem makes him why he's not number 2. Number 2, and the biggest piece of shit in Degrassi in my mind, other than Rick, is Jay. Simple as that. I don't like Jay. He's the devil on people's shoulders from season 3 to 7, like it or not. Because he put Sean in a bad situation. He put JT in a bad situation. Multiple times with Spinner, maybe Manny, and Sean in season 6. Fight me on that. But let's not forget that Jay of course, was part of the bully gang and all that. The bullies that ended to the end. Okay, he's a bully. But let's not forget the main sentence. He had zero involvement in this whole situation. Zero. Zilch. Nil. The fact of the matter is, unlike Spinner, unlike Alex, unlike Paige, unlike Jimmy, who had reason to go after Rick because of what he did to Terry, that was reasonable. The fact of the matter is that, Jay had no involvement. He didn't know much and he didn't care. He just wanted to cause trouble. He just wanted to prove that he could be an effective bully. He had zero empathy for the situation at all. So he just wanted to show off, and maybe he wanted to get in this situation because Alex got bit by domestic violence and, Jay's dating Alex. Fair enough. I get it. I really do. But the fact of the matter is that Rick aside, Jay was just pure garbage. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. But, Jay was at its absolute worst in Time Stand Still, parts 1 and 2. Part 1, he convinces Rick to go for the tie break and says everything is cool and making sure that Rick has zero chance of knowing that the Pain and Feathers was going to come down and who was behind it. Rick and Jay and Spinner got Alex's stuff. She poured it on to Rick, all that. And Jay thought he was doing Spinner a solid favor by basically trying to pin the blame on Jimmy to get the heat off Spinner and Jay for everything. And, knew that Rick was in the stall, alerted Spinner, and they concoct that stupid story and makes Rick want to go back to the locker, bring the gun, and go after Jimmy. Simple as that. So Jay made the wrong move. Jay thought he was helping Spinner out, but he was just being a bully. And Jay, I think, convinced Spinner to go after Jimmy because Jimmy switched sides. It was simple that Spinner, Jay, and Alex were pissed off that Jimmy switched sides. I normally would say that, anyone would be upset with that. But that's just the way it goes. So the fact of the matter is that Spinner listened to Jay's BS. Jay BS'd Rick twice. And it led to Jimmy being shot and Emma nearly dying, but Sean being a hero and all that. And I can't blame Sean at all. Sean's a freaking hero. Everyone knows that. So factor everything. And Jay pushing Alex and Spinner to keep quiet for at least 3 months until Spinner finally cracks. And Jay berating Spinner for telling Jimmy, saying that, I knew you couldn't keep your mouth shut. Jimmy deserved to know, Spinner says. Jay was more upset with Spinner spitting his guts. And Spinner told on Jay on purpose because Jay was such a dick to Spinner and Alex for that matter too. So I think Jay may have had a shot to come back to Degrassi in season 5, but he didn't want to. He said that the school needed a scapegoat. And I guess in his mind, and probably in my handcanon, he figured that the school needed a scapegoat because maybe he wasn't happy with Sean moving back to Wasaga Beach. And he figured that with Raditch being kicked to the curb, that the school needed to find an active scapegoat and knew that Spinner was weak. But Spinner told on his own accord. The students did know, but, that's neither here nor there. And Jay is such a scuzzball. But without any doubt, number one, and I think everyone will freaking agree, lo and behold, is the simple fact that it is Rick Murray. No bones about it. Rick was his own worst enemy, like it or not. I mean, Rick went his jealousy towards Jimmy because he thought that Jimmy was going to steal Terry from him. Okay, jealousy is one thing. I understand. But how he approached it, how he physically and emotionally abused Terry just did not sit right in season 3, let alone season 4. And he came back to the school all macho camacho and thinking that everything would be cool, that the students may have cooled off. Not even close. Do you really think that the students would have cooled off? No, they definitely would not have. So, what can you think? What do you think? Well, Rick was his own worst enemy, plain and simple. The simple fact is that, he came back to the school thinking everything would be fine, but no, the students would not take it lightly. And the students knew that he couldn't be trusted. And that's fine by me. The students made Rick's life a living hell. Fair enough. But once Rick decided to retaliate because he figured that was the only way the students were going to know, then trouble started flying. Time Stands Still Part 1, he's put in the dumpster. He finally decides enough is enough. So he spray paints his tormentor's cars. He makes the symbol to everyone. I think in a way he was trying to tell people, you've been tormenting me. How about if the shoe's on the other foot? How would you feel? Like some people do that. But unfortunately, it just made Spitter, Jay, and Alex even more mad at him and wanting to destroy him. Rick was an idiot, especially to Emma. I mean, Emma was protecting him because Emma said it was the right thing to do. It didn't mean that she had a crush on Rick. And that definitely wasn't true. Emma wanted to show empathy towards Rick and, hung out with Rick in the Quiz Bowl team because that was all Emma had left after pissing off Liberty, Manny, and then Paige's Click. That's just terrible. But Rick's actions were terrible. The creepy hand-holding, the whispering, this is for you, and all that. Kissing Emma after, despite being covered in paint and feathers. He thought he found the perfect girl. Then he goes to his house, finds his dad's gun, and lo and behold, he goes after Paige. Paige says everything's childish. He puts the gun back in his bag and puts it in his locker. And then after Spinner and Jay BS him for the second time, he shoots Jimmy in the spine, goes after Emma, conveniently finds her, and Sean kills him. And the simple fact is Rick should not have any sympathy at all. All he had to do was stay out of retaliation. He didn't retaliate. He would have won. Simple as that. I think he definitely would have won out. But no, he didn't. He didn't win. He did not win. No. He lost. Game over. No sympathy. Can't deal with him. Sorry, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching. Adieu.